Yes.
All right. Sorry for the little bit of delay. We'll be trying our new technology out again. Hopefully, we get it to work this time a little better. The chair would entertain a motion to move from closed session to open session for the committee of the whole meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move from closed session to open session for the committee of the whole meeting. Second.
Got a motion and second to move from closed session to open session, committee of the whole meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
At this time, we are in the open session of the committee of the whole. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second. Any discussion? All in favor to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. The Idle Statesville Schools Board of Education is now in open session for the month of April 2020. It is our policy to begin with a moment of silence in which board members, staff, and guests may privately reflect in their own way for the health and welfare of all our citizens during this trying time, especially for the frontline workers that are continuing to keep our country running. I also pray for businesses, the business of this meeting, and the thoughts of what is doing the very best for the world's most important resource, our children. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Obviously, this is a different meeting setup than our usual, and it's in response to these extraordinary times. We've made an effort to protect everyone as well as follow safety guidelines. I will ask the board members to please speak up and into the microphones. I'd like to thank David Edwards, Larry Rogers, and especially Jada Jonas for all the work setting up our semi-virtual meeting. We think we've got some of the bugs worked out, and we'll give it a shot again. Before we move into our agenda, I'd like to clarify our public comment sign-up procedure for public comment time, which begins immediately after recognitions. Anyone showing up to make comments to the board should sign up on the sign-up sheet as usual. They then will be taken to another room where social distance is maintained until public comment time. At that time, they will be allowed to come into the room one at a time to address the board. This will keep us within the 10-person limit. Anyone speaking to the board must sign up prior to the start of public comments, and comments shall be for only 3 minutes. While board members welcomes our shareholders' views, please remember comments should not be slanderous or personal in nature. The board does not usually respond to public comments. Board members and Mr. Johnson's, are there any changes to the agenda? And Brady, are you with us?
Yes, sir. We have no amendments to the agenda.
Board members, any changes you need? Very good.
Item F's been marked out.
Yes,
Okay.
been marked out, item F, yes.
Mr. Chairman, did we not in the Cal meeting say that we were not going to talk about the calendar?
Yes, it's not on here. I checked, it was approved in February.
Very good, thank you.
So that last was just for discussion. Any other changes or questions about the agenda? The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second who was the motion? Ken, that we approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. This time we will move into our consent agenda. We have personnel. We have minutes from March 2nd, 2 meetings, and minutes from March 16th for the emergency call board meeting. Board members, you've had time to review personnel and the minutes. Any discussion, any questions at this time on these? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda. Second.
I've got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, including minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Recognitions tonight, we have none. Mr. Rogers, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
No public comments. Now we move into our non-consent agenda. I was going to wait and do that at the end, but this is recognition time, so I guess we could do it at this time. Our employees have done some fascinating things over the last few weeks. Very, very proud of them. We're feeding over 10,000 meals a day. We've got 15 sites for meals. We're running buses for meals. We've opened 6 daycare centers for emergency workers and medical workers. The governor every school system, asked every school system to do 3 things, and that included virtual education, and it's just amazing. I've been very, very pleased, and I think everybody has, with Idaho Statesville Schools has once again stepped up to be, as I say, almost every meeting, I think the best school system in North Carolina and one of the best in the nation. So I'm going to ask, are we getting echo on that? Okay, because we're getting echoes in here. Any other comments on recognition at this time?
I think we as a board need to applaud our entire system. Thank God.
At this time, we will discuss bids for the Brawley project. Mr. Hager, are you with us? Oh, here comes Doc Miller. Okay. Turn.
I will check that mic.
As we discussed in the county, we have 2 projects that require a 2014 bond, which complete our bond project. One was our Brawley Foundation project. We have funding from our reserve capital in place. We have funding from our bond reserve funds. And we would recommend accepting the lowest possible bid for GL Wilson, local contractor, 2.6 3 million. Be glad to answer questions related to that.
We discussed this.
I'm on Zoom as well, if y'all need, anything from me.
Okay. There it is. We discussed this in the committee of the whole. This was, again, like you said, completing 2 promises we'd made back at the 2014 bond. Any discussion, board members?
I'm ready to make a motion that we accept the bids for all projects. Thank GL Wilson, local builder, for getting the contract.
Got a motion and a second to approve the contract for Brawley project. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We've got the required school fees for 2021. Jonathan Ribbick and Kelly Cooper. We again discussed these at the committee of the whole meeting. Open the floor up for discussion. Mr. Howe, you got you had asked for the Mitchell. Should have that at your seat.
Yes, but that was on a different, that was Ms. White.
Okay, I got you. I understand. Yeah, I'm thinking of fees. Any question on these fees? We'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the required school fees for 2022 2020 and 2021.
Got a motion second to approve the 2021 required school fees. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Kelly.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we go to Ms. White, budget amendment. Ms. White, are you here?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's working. How about that? Thank you.
Okay. So we discussed the budget amendment at the committee of the whole meeting. I'll be happy to try to answer any further questions you might have about it.
Is that Ms. White in the world right now?
Yeah. If no discussion, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment.
I move we approve the budget amendment.
Got a motion and second to approve budget amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, Ms. White, we'll move into the RFP for auditors.
Okay, we discussed this also at the committee of the whole meeting earlier. We did receive 3 responses to our RFP request. The lowest responsive bidder was Thompson, Price, Scott, and Adams. You can see in the memo that I presented to you guys, I did have some concerns with that firm. Therefore, it is my recommendation that we continue with Coffee Lovins and Company. Their fee for next year is $30,700. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we award 3-year contract, Coffee Lovins Company.
Got a motion and second to approve Coffee Lovins and Company, a 3-year contract. Now I'm open the floor for discussion.
I would disagree, Mr. Chairman, just because I think change is good, and these people have been doing it, not that they did anything wrong, but I think we need to give another company a chance.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Mr. Howell. You know, we've had Coffee Lovin' Company now for 6 years, and I think it is, time for us to, make a change.
Well, I speak to this in reference to, I hate to go along with something simply because we used it for a period of time, or cut something out because we haven't used it for a period of time. But I look at the other things here, and the bids are close enough to use the one that our CFO has recommended, and we've used it for the last 6 years, and they've done very well. I would move to stay with the one that we're using.
And I agree with you, Mr. Kelly, our CFO reads the price difference from whatever you may have to stay with, but if she's comfortable with them, she counts our things pretty good, and I like to stay with her.
And furthermore, the Thompson, Price, Scott, and Adams has, understanding grade 0 experience with doing school systems versus Coffee Lovins has been doing ours at least for the last 6 years. So therefore, I think we need to trust our CFO on that, as Mr. Gaines did.
Well, I don't think they've not done school systems. They do not do individual school audits that's part of it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And to me, our individual school audits is as important as any other audits.
Individual school audits may be more important.
Yeah. So that's my biggest problem with Thompson. That group is the fact that they usually don't. I don't know if we could have them do it, but we've got a motion to second if y'all are ready to vote.
Well, I just want to say one thing. I don't want in any way for us to think that this is to disparage our CFO. She's doing a fantastic job for the school system. And, just want to say that, just matter of personal opinion here, that after having a company for 6 years, that would make a change. But again, I think Ms. White is doing a terrific job as a school system CFO.
Well, I think all of us agree with that statement. We've all always praised Ms. White. I understand the reason to change. You like to get a fresh set of eyes in. I'm just questioning to make sure we have a fresh set of eyes that's capable. Ms. White, 3-year, that's our policy. Am I correct on that?
Yes, I think that is board policy. If the board's uncomfortable with that, you can always do something different.
Well, if it's our policy, I'm not sure we want to change policy, without doing some readings and doing that properly. Any other discussion?
Call for question, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the motion is to go with Coffee, Levins and Company for a 3-year contract. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, no?
No.
That passes 5-2, thank you. Approval of vendor purchases over $90,000. And Ms. White, this is in results to a policy change that was recommended by the North Carolina School Board Association. We discussed this last time. I think there's some discussion at the board of how this can best be done. But at this time, what we have in front of us is approving a list of every vendor we've had in the last 12 months that we have spent more than $90,000 for. And you're bringing this to the board per the new policy. Discussion on this or a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to, I did bring a question up about Mitchell Community College. All the information I had at the time was we spent $167,000 for books. And I think that it's not just for books, but there's a required fee list here, which was furnished to me, and so I understand where that large number comes from. So I just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, vote to approve vendor purchases over $90,000.
I second.
Got a motion and a second to approve vendor purchases over $90,000. Any other discussion?
There was something we did that made her job a little harder. Is there something we can institute back in our policy to make it simpler next time?
Well, that's what we said we were going to look at. We need to probably go back and look at that policy.
Can we tweak the policy, Ms. White, or we bring it back up and adjust that policy? Is that correct?
We can bring it back and discuss it. I think that was a couple of members said something about that. But right now, we're just voting to approve this policy. Yes, as presented.
Per policy.
This list of vendors in which we have spent more than $90,000 this past 12 months. And that seems to be the kicker here. It's any 12 months. It's not a fiscal year. So I think that's some of the problems. But I think we can go back and relook at the policy and look at exactly what the policy was trying to do. But we can do that at a different date. We just need to approve this for Ms. White. Any other discussion? Got a motion and a second to approve vendor purchases over $90,000. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Guys, y'all on a roll tonight. Now we go into G, administrative principal and assistant principal contracts. Board members, I would like for you to not use the contracts that were given to us in the memo. In closed session, when we reviewed them, you'll have sheets with 3 that Mr. Johnson provided for us tonight. It's a list of administrative contracts, central office, administrative final principal contracts, and AP contracts. Kelly and Dr. Lassane, we will be working from this list that we have here, and we will provide that for you. It's the same people, it's just a little different list.
Yeah.
You familiar?
I'm familiar with that
Yeah, okay,
list,
okay.
Mr. Page, thank you.
Yeah, this was just the latest and up-to-date one, so that's why we chose to use that. First, we'll start with assistant principals. You have 15 assistant principals in here. The returning assistant principals are looking at 4-year contracts. The only 2-year contract we have is for Ms. Caesar, who will be going to Statesville Middle School as assistant principal. The board will accept recommend a motion to approve administrative contracts for assistant principals.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve contracts for the 15 assistant principals as listed on the administrative final contract recommendations. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now move to contracts for principals. 11, good, be ahead of me on the next one. We have 11 principals that are up for contracts. These are all returning principals, and according to general statutes and our policies, these will all be 4-year contracts. Any discussion on these principals?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve contracts with 11 principals.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the contracts for these 11 principals. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Now we'll move to administrative final contracts for central office administrators. In this situation, our 2 assistant superintendents and associate superintendents, anybody with superintendent in their name, we are legally obligated to give no longer than the superintendent. With our superintendent retiring in July, we are allowed to give up to 1 year. That's as much as we can give. So that would affect Mr. Armstrong and Dr. Lassane, that legally they are held to a 1-year contract. So on this final contract recommendations, they're both listed as 1 year. Down at the bottom, Ms. Wyke was listed as 1 year, but after speaking with our attorney, that is not required, that we will have she works at the will of the superintendent. That was about to be changed with the legislators, but they did not make that changes. So we will be voting for a 2-year contract for Ms. Wyke, and it will, in the contract, that will be at the will of the superintendent. That's the only change on this sheet is from Ms. Wyke from 1 year to 2 year. You got that, Dr. Lassane?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the final contracts of the central office, which gives the central office that are due. And it's how many of them, Ken? You're supposed to tell me how many.
16.
16. There's 16. And these are public documents, so the public can view these documents. Sir?
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we adopt the central office staff contract with the exception of Ms. White, who's changed to a 2-year from the list that we were provided.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve the administrative final contracts as recommended, except for the 2-year for Ms. Wyke. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no?
Mr. Chairman, those contracts,
Wait just a second, sir. We just passed that. Let me make that statement. That was approved unanimously. Yes, sir, Mr. Kenny.
the contracts, do we need to make any type of motion or say anything about the contracts, the blank contract for the central office and blank contract for a administrators, both assistant principals and principals, is going to be reviewed by the attorney, and all of these contracts will fall under what the new contract is.
Correct, they will have new contracts drawn up for all those, and then it will be presented to them, and then it'll eventually come back and I'll have to sign it and approve it. And they'll have to sign it and approve it. So you're correct, there will be slight changes in the contracts, which we've asked, and our attorney will be providing that. And Dr. Lassane, so you'll be getting a revised contract from our attorney in the next day or two? That's putting you on the spot. He's over there looking at it.
Thank you.
So anyway, just a couple of tweaks of a couple of words in there. Thank you, Mr. Kenyon, for bringing that up, just to let everybody know. Any other comments? Okay, teacher contracts, first reading. We do not.
Okay, so Mr. Page, I'm not sure if this was discussed at another time or not, but with some of the issues related to COVID-19, we are running into some issues with our formula, as pieces of the formula are related to summative contracts. In a review of our schools, there were some schools that were still in the middle of their third cycle observations, and many schools, of course, had not completed their summative evals. And so based on that, their recommendations for contracts is impacted, and we are still awaiting some guidance from the state. And so I think that what will be coming forth is a recommendation of what to do with our formula simply because of the timeline. So we would like to bring those in May and also be able to have them approved. You have already in your possession the list of eligible teachers for renewed contracts. And so just as far as the terms of those contracts, whether they're 1, 2, or 4 years, according to our policy, we're going to have to adjust a little bit, given our guidance of the state and where we were in the midst of observations at the time of the impact of coronavirus.
And I understand the states give out some guidance in that way. I think this board would all share into our belief that our teachers should be held harmless for what they couldn't, the evaluations they couldn't get done. I understand that completely. There's going to be a lot of things impacted by this emergency rules and regulations that are being changed and almost changed hourly. Thank you for updating us on this, and we will. I don't think there's any procedural reason we can't vote in May. All I'm going to ask is that we get it in plenty of time to review it before we're asked to vote on it.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's any, Mr. Coutey, I'll check with you. This is not a policy, so I don't believe there's a first and second reading requirement on this. So.
That has been our practice, but it is not in policy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I think it's not an issue. I don't think we've got to do any procedural changes to vote on it. But I would like for the board to be sure we get that in time to review it.
Yes.
Any questions of Dr. Lassane? Mr. Kenyon, do you have any update on the superintendent search?
Chairman Page is pleased to announce that per our calendar for superintendent search, we are on schedule to meet or exceed our deadline of hiring a new superintendent by May 1st.
Thank you. Board members, Mr. Armstrong, do we have any, and I know we have no field trips, so they ain't even need to ask about field trips. I don't believe we're sending anybody out of the country, so we'll just.
No, no field trip.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Armstrong. Announcements, we're having spring, or Easter break coming up, this coming weekend. Please note that our committee, the whole we need to change that. We're not gonna meet at, we do need to change that meeting that was scheduled for South Iredell on May 4th back to the Career Center due to, this. That's gonna be, we're gonna need to do that. Can I get since we didn't add that, Mr. Coutay, we did not add that to the, agenda, so we can add that with a unanimous vote of the board, or 2/3 vote, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, can we add moving the committee, the whole meeting to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we make an amendment to the agenda to add changing the committee of the whole location for the May 4th meeting to hear cats.
Okay, I've got it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion second to amend the agenda to add this to discuss this to the agenda. This takes a 2/3 vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Now,
We're still gonna have 2 meetings in May.
yes. So at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to move the May 4th meeting from South Iredell back to Katz, and that'll be a 5 o'clock closed session, 6 o'clock committee of the whole meeting.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move the May 4th meeting back here to cats for a 5 o'clock closed session, 6 o'clock public meeting.
Got a motion second to move the May 4th committee of the whole from South Iredell to Katz for 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock meetings. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries unanimously. Kelly, are you on?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute. I was talking to the other Kelly. Kelly McCarricker.
Wait a minute, before she says I'd like to adjourn.
Hang on a second.
Hey, guys, yes, I'm here. I caught that.
You got all that. Okay, make sure we get
Yes, I
that.
caught that, yes.
We need to get that out to the press.
Yes, I'll take care of it.
Okay, before you adjourn, Mr. Johnson, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Page, members of the board, very. I'm sorry, did you call on me, Mr. Page?
Yes, sir. Are you got comments, or you've been mighty quiet?
Just very, very briefly. Yes, sir, I'll keep it very, very brief. I do want to thank you for approving the contract tonight of our central office staff, our principals and assistant principals. I've heard you say many, many times that we are one of the better school systems in the nation and certainly in the state of North Carolina. And these folks, as the leaders in the district, get part of the credit for that, along with our staff who's out in those schools and departments working every single day. So thank you for approving those contracts. My other comment tonight is just simply to echo something that has been said many, many times, and it is that in dealing with this COVID-19, there is no playbook. Every single day, we are presented a new set of challenges, and our people in the school system, and I'm including all 2,700 of them, are out there writing a new playbook every single day. When the governor asked us to make sure that we fed the children in the community, offered child care to these emergency workers and our healthcare professionals, to make sure that we engaged in distance learning. The other thing that the governor asked us to do was to keep as many people on the payroll as we possibly could. And board, I thank you for your support in making sure that we have done that. And so our 2,700 people, I think that if you were to ask any of them, they would say that they've been well looked after during this crisis. As we move forward, I want to thank all of our students, particularly our secondary students and our seniors. This is unprecedented for them as well, and it's very disappointing for them to see their senior year disrupted. What we try to tell our seniors is, guys, be patient with us. We want to try to figure out how to postpone graduation and try to do something later on after some of these restrictions are lifted. I also want to say thank you to our parents for being patient with us. And right now we've got lots of parents that are helping educate their children every single day. And so this certainly has turned into a new normal for us. and many of our parents have done an exemplary job of that. I also want to give a shout out, already recognized our board, but our county commissioners and our members of the General Assembly. We've been in contact with all of them. They have been very supportive. Really want to thank the General Assembly for the emergency funding. ISS received $696,000, and that money will go a long way to helping offset some of the additional costs that we have incurred in looking out for these frontline workers that are out there really putting themselves at risk serving the community every single day. Every single department in this school system has risen to the call and has exceeded expectations. So I give a shout out to all of them. Child nutrition, transportation, our custodial staff, maintenance staff, primetime workers, nurses, our teachers, teacher assistants, administrators, bus garage, student services, everybody. And I am extremely proud. Somebody asked me the other day, what a terrible way to end your career in a mess like this. And I said, to the contrary, this is showing me the very best of this organization that we call ISS. And it has brought the better angels of our nature to the surface. So I am extremely proud of the school system. We will continue to be very, very flexible. We'll try to be as innovative as we can. We'll continue to give as much grace and mercy as we continue to muddle through this crisis. But thank you to everybody for being there and going the extra mile during these very, very challenging times. When you look at the future, there's a couple of things that we will have to look at when we get back to normal. This crisis has shown a bright light on the issue of equity, and some families are doing better in responding to this emergency than others. And so we're going to have to figure out a way to close that equity gap. And then when school does restart back, board, we're going to have to come up with a plan to remediate our children. The next school year is going to have to start off by strong doses of remediation, particularly for our elementary children. So that's a conversation for another day. I'll just simply close it out with a very sincere thank you to everybody that has helped us address these very, very challenging times. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Board members, comments?
Mr. Chairman, before we, this is additional business, but I'd like to make a motion that we ask the county commissioners for a salary study. This is something that was discussed, so I'd like the board approval for us to ask for that. Thank you.
We'll have to add that to the agenda. Can we move that to the May meeting? I think that could be in discussion of budget, which we're not in, we have no idea on the budget. But Kelly McCarricker? Kelly?
I'm here.
Did you hear what Mr. Howe would like to add to the agenda?
I did, and it's
Okay.
gonna be, it's a, Mr. Howe, for me to add it to the agenda, is it a district salary study?
You want to just call her?
Yeah, I'll call you and.
Yeah, call me, and we can talk more.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'd like for you to withdraw your motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to withdraw that motion until May.
Very good, thank you. We would like to give our sympathy to Dr. Bowen. Dr. Bowen lost her father a week or so ago, and he was a judge in Georgia. And if you saw anything, he must have been obviously a very well-known, outstanding person in his community. So Dr. Nutting, our sympathy goes out to you.
Thank you, sir.
One of our employees, Latoya Caesar, lost her father to COVID-19 in New York, and our sympathy goes out to her. Any other?
Quickly, if y'all have a chance, and you go by the meal sites we got, I've been trying to visit my school, you don't have to stop, just go through, show me bags, some of those are some of them doing. Bill's around, a lot of these folks are doing a great job, and you just ride through and say, hey, thank you for what you're doing, it's just a pat on that. just to get a chance, you know, I was one of the 15 schools, like, tell them what a good job they're doing. They're getting built around, stuff like that. And the other thing is, we'll stick my neck out tomorrow, but I'm going to blood drive at West American Baptist Church, cost you sometimes you go. Bill Sherrill had given about 20-some gallons of blood, and they started this a couple years ago. They're trying to turn 90, 91, and every year they try to get enough blood for his age, and he passed away a year or so ago. So, anyway, I'm going over tomorrow. We hope we get at least 93 pounds of blood, 93 pints of blood, and in case you don't know, General Highway, our General Board Commissioner, Mr. Sherrill was his father-in-law, so you want to stick your neck out, I want to go over and get blood, so anybody else, come join me. I know Dr. Simon, you go, and I know General Highway would appreciate it, so, anyway, that's where I'm headed tomorrow. Thank you.
Any other comments, board members? Charles, it's your turn.
Point of clarification, I was just trying to set a record earlier getting out.
Oh, okay.
So
We missed that.
we passed that, so I make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you all.